If you know how this episode of The Sweet Spot ends, don't tell anybody.
No, once you've watched this episode of Sweet Spot, please don't tell anyone.
There's a lot of sensitivity, even hysteria, about spoilers.
I think people tend to over-index into plot and think, oh, the magic that I'm seeing is the fact that he didn't kill her, she did.
Right.
And that if you know that, then that ruins everything. Well, why do people watch movies over and over and over again?
Well, exactly. If I were to tell you that Anna Karenina dies at the end, Madame Bovary dies at the end, Hamlet dies at the end, Othello, Julius Caesar, they all die in those plays.
Rosebud.
Or that Rosebud is Charles Foster Kane's sled, it's his sled. I don't think I've ruined anything for anybody. Have I spoiled it? I don't think so.
You took a lot of joy in doing that right now. Maybe you are actually into spoilers.
No,
just
I was just trying to make a point that I did not harm any of those works of art at all. You had a conversation with our resident pop culture whiz kid guru, Dave Itzkoff, about
who never spoils.
Phenomenon. No, and who knows everything, who can recount the plot of every episode of everything that's ever been on television.
You're kind of spoiling my interview with him a little bit. Can we just cut to it? Dave, are you a spoiler?
In the line of work that I'm in, I do get DVD advances ahead of people. I get to see screenings before people. So the new season of Breaking Bad, for example, I got a couple of episodes. The first 2 episodes of this most recent season were sent to me in advance. So I got to see what Jonathan Banks was doing in the new season from the jump. He was the sort of the fixer for Gus, who died in the previous season. Now, I had more info.
A lot of people don't know that Gus died. They're only on season 3. They're peddling madly through their DVR, through their DVDs, and Itzkoff just spoiled it for Gus is dead. Just so you know, go ahead.
See, there's no way to even talk about a show in process without ruining it for somebody somewhere. But in this case, I thought I was basically just giving a little cue or a hint to people or something to whet their appetites. And, you know, somebody tweeted back at me saying, "You're not spoiling anything, are you?" And I thought about it, and I was like, well, you know, maybe even saying the fact that he's in this new season, well, that's a cue or a clue that he survived something else happened.
You did notify people of a possible spoiler, and then there was this elegiac sort of tone about it, about, you know, maybe old Mike's not with us anymore. Not to spoil anything for you.
I think, you know, I think a lot about, like, what is the grace period for the spoiler? Do you treat it like a live sporting event where in the instant it's happened, it's free to be shared with everybody, or, you know, by Monday morning, or should they have a reasonable expectation to be caught up, or is it still, you know, 2 or 3 days?
Do you have a different standard online or in print? Do you think those are different worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, online there's a little bit more instantaneity, but not total. I'll give you a counter example. On the night of the Breaking Bad finale, on that Sunday night, I happened to be in Bethel, New York, watching Bob Dylan perform, and I really was racing home to watch that night's finale, but also hoping that nobody was going to spoil it for me. You know, that was the moment where anybody who wanted to take revenge on me and ruin an experience for me could have done so. And I think people were, I mean, I had to just kind of flip through my tweets really quick, and if I even saw something that looked, if it had the words breaking or bad in the tweet, I was like, nope, goodbye. But, you know, suddenly I realized what it was like to be on the receiving end of that.
But you eventually made it home without finding out that the season ended up not in the toilet, but on the toilet.
Exactly.
A little bit of a spoiler, but what are you going to do? Here's the thing. People always say, oh, thanks a lot for spoiling that for me. If you don't want it spoiled, don't read it. Real simple. Sometimes they ask for your complicity and cooperation as a critic.
Yes, yeah.
As in The Crying Game.
Well, The Crying Game, I was not
Which
a critic
I call...
then.
My subtitle of it is Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Yes. Well, that...
I'm not spoiling anything.
No, in fact, I mean, I saw this movie. I wasn't a movie critic at the time, but I went to see it, and I thought it was a terrific movie, and there's all this stuff about the secret. You know, what's the secret of the crying game? And I said to my wife, you know, you should go see this movie. It's really good. She said, what's it about? I said, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just come with me. So we went to see it in a packed theater, Lincoln Plaza on the Upper West Side. A certain character comes on the screen, and my wife turns to me and says in a rather loud whisper,
Stage whisper.
yes, that's a man. And I was like, and then, to make it even worse, everyone's kind of looking around and squinting at the screen. She says, is that the secret? But did she spoil it? I don't know. I think people still like the movie. People, well,
like there was this movie Catfish, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's cooperate in the big gimmick.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody know. To this day, I don't know what the big gimmick is, what the big secret is.
You want me to tell you?
Well, is it super cool or?
No, it's not that cool. And the thing is, especially for someone like you who is so conversant in the ways of the internet, it will be quite obvious that, like, when a pretty girl pops up on Facebook and starts coming on to you, and then when she has like a little sister who's a great artistic prodigy genius who's befriending you,
the Facebook family, that's what we'll call them,
that those might not actually be those people. Those people might not actually even be real. There might be just some, you know, bored housewife sitting up there in Michigan making this stuff up.
You're kidding. You spoiled the whole thing now, haven't you?
But it kind of spoils, that movie kind of spoils itself. I think that's what
you
example
tell yourself
of
whenever you ruin
gimmickry.
people's fun.
I didn't
Hey,
spoil
old
that
Scott.
movie. I didn't spoil that movie when I reviewed it.
You did for me and for our millions of listeners.
Anyone who's still watching this episode of The Sweet Spot at this point, if you could please, don't tell your friends how it ends.
How does it end?
How do they always end?